Title: The whistling comes from the cornfield every night at 1:17 a.m. And if you hear it too close, you're already too late. I grew up in a small Midwestern town, the kind where everyone knows everyone, and secrets don't last long. But there's one secret we all pretend doesn't exist: the cornfield at the edge of town. We don't talk about it. We don't go near it. And most importantly, we don't acknowledge the sound that drifts from it every night at exactly 1:17 a.m. It's a whistle. Not mechanical, not the wind, but a slow, off-key human whistle, the kind that scrapes at your nerves and stays in your ears long after it ends. It starts low and far away, weaving through the stalks like it's searching for something. Or someone. Sometimes it fades quickly. Sometimes it lingers. But if you ever hear it close, too close, then the only thing you can do is run. Because if it finds you standing still, it won't stop. No one knows who the first victim was. Some say it started after Old Man Dwyer vanished in '73, after telling people he heard voices in the corn. Others claim it's older, tied to some settler curse or native legend we are too stubborn to believe. But one thing is certain: every few years, someone disappears. And their name is never said out loud again. When I was 15, I made the mistake of trying to prove it was all superstition. Me and my friend Jonah snuck out one night, armed with flashlights and dumb confidence. We hid near the edge of the field, laughing and waiting for 1:17. When the time came, the laughter stopped. The whistle started, soft, like it didn't want to scare us yet. But it was real. We froze, staring at the tall corn that stood like a wall in the moonlight. Then Jonah's light flickered. I turned to him, but he wasn't looking at the corn. He was looking behind me. I'll never forget the look in his eyes, pure terror. I turned just in time to see a tall, dark figure retreat into the field. It hadn't come from the corn. It had been behind us the entire time. The whistle got louder. Faster. And Jonah ran. I followed him, calling his name. He didn't stop. The stalks bent unnaturally, parting for something that moved too quickly and too silently. I caught up with Jonah at the edge of the woods, panting, crying, the whistle still echoing. We never spoke about it again. But he never slept right after that. And 2 weeks later, he was gone. No one searched. No one asked questions. His parents packed up and left town overnight, and the rest of us just accepted it. As if the cornfield had claimed him, and that was that. Over the years, I've tried to forget, but the whistling still comes. Every single night. Always at 1:17 a.m. And now, it's getting closer again. I hear it outside my window sometimes. I don't even live near the field anymore. But somehow, it finds me. It always does. Rules to survive the whistling. 1. Never whistle back. It mimics you. The second time it responds, it knows where you are. 2. Don't run through the cornfield. It likes when you panic. It makes the chase more fun. 3. Stay indoors with the lights off. The more light, the more attention you draw. 4. If you hear it behind you, don't turn around. It only gets stronger when seen. 5. And above all, never look into the cornfield at 1:17 a.m. If you make eye contact, you're already his. And above all, never look into the cornfield at 1:17 a.m. If you make eye contact, you're already his. I learned that rule the hard way 2 weeks ago. I'd been keeping my distance from the field for years, moved to the other side of town, avoided that road altogether, blocked it from my mind like some bad childhood trauma. But my father passed unexpectedly, and I had to return to our old farmhouse to pack things up, settle the estate. I told myself I'd be gone before nightfall. But grief has a strange way of slowing time. You find a childhood photo, a worn-out toy, a dusty letter in your father's handwriting, and suddenly the sun has set behind you. It was 1:14 a.m. when I realized what time it was. I laughed bitterly, telling myself not to be paranoid. I wasn't a kid anymore. But the laugh died in my throat when I heard it. The whistle. Low. Broken. Closer than I remembered. I froze in the kitchen, every muscle in my body locking up. Then came the floorboard creak in the living room, one I hadn't stepped on. The whistle repeated, slightly louder, and I realized something horrible: it wasn't coming from the field. It was inside the house. I ran upstairs, slammed the bedroom door, and locked it. Heart racing. Ears straining. Silence. Then, from just outside the door, whistling. Longer this time. Slow. Too long for human lungs. I backed up until I hit the wall, and as I did, the lights flickered and died. The moonlight creeping through the window illuminated something awful, The outline of corn stalks brushing the glass. On the second floor. It was inside. Or worse, it was the house now. I remembered the final rule. Don't look into the field. But I wasn't in the field. I was in my room. It couldn't hurt to peek, right? Wrong. Drawn by some terrible, magnetic force, I inched toward the window. The whistling stopped. Complete silence. Even the crickets had vanished. And then I saw it. A figure standing at the very edge of the cornfield. Not in the field. Not of the field. But something in between. His limbs were too long, elbows bowed backward like snapped branches. His head tilted sharply, as if it had forgotten how a neck should bend. And even in the moonlight, I saw it, eyes that weren't eyes, but empty, weeping holes. He raised a finger, crooked and blackened like burnt wood, and pointed right at me. He'd seen me. I fell back, tripping over a box of my father's things. My heart pounded so violently I thought it would burst. I lay there for what felt like hours, too afraid to move, listening to the wind whip through the house like something alive. When dawn finally came, I bolted. Didn't pack. Didn't lock the door. Just left. But I think I made eye contact for too long. Because now, the whistling follows me. It's not always at 1:17 a.m. anymore. Sometimes it's 12:02. Sometimes it's 4:48. It doesn't matter. I'll be walking down a city street, or taking a shower, or lying in bed, and I'll hear it. That same off-key, human whistle. Right behind me. Last night, I found a single corn husk on my apartment doorstep. I haven't opened the door since. New rules to survive, now that he's seen you. 6. Never acknowledge the whistle aloud. Speaking about it gives it power. 7. Do not accept any corn-related items, no matter how harmless. They're offerings. Or markers. 8. If you see footprints in your home that aren't yours, leave immediately. He's inside. 9. Cover all reflective surfaces at night. He watches through glass. 10. And above all, if you ever hear the whistle directly behind you, whatever you do, don't turn around. He only smiles when you do. I made that mistake 3 nights ago. I was in a motel 2 towns over, a last-ditch attempt to escape it. I had booked the room under a fake name, paid in cash, turned off my phone, and made sure to cover every mirror and window with bedsheets and towels. I even left the TV on static to drown out any outside noise. I thought maybe, just maybe, if I could remove every possible way for it to find me, I'd be safe. But evil doesn't knock anymore. It doesn't need doors or fields. It waits. Patiently. And when your guard drops, when your mind softens just enough for grief, or exhaustion, or loneliness to bleed in, it slips through the cracks. It was 2:41 a.m. I remember because the old analog clock on the nightstand had a faded red glow that never quite let me forget what hour I was in. I was halfway asleep when I heard it. Not the whistle. Not yet. First, it was a tapping. Tap. 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 I jolted up in bed, heart stuttering. The TV flickered. Static gave way to silence. Then came the sound again, this time from the bathroom. A soft, rhythmic tap, like something long and bone-thin was striking porcelain. I told myself it was just a leaky faucet. A vent. A rat. But deep down, I knew. Then, the whistling started. Not outside. Not distant. It began in the mirror. Yes, in the mirror. Behind the sheet I'd nailed over it, the whistle began to echo. Not loud, but clear. Like someone was pressed against the glass, just on the other side. The sound distorted slightly, as if filtering through a warped pane. I could hear it curving, bending unnaturally, like it didn't belong in our reality. My breath caught. I reached for the lamp, but it refused to turn on. The TV had shut off entirely. I stood, inching toward the mirror like a fool. Like a man who still thought logic had any bearing on what was happening. My hands trembled as I reached for the sheet, and just as I gripped the edge, the tapping stopped. The whistling stopped. Everything stopped. In that suspended silence, I swear I heard something breathe. Long and slow, not from the room, but from behind the glass. And then, the whistle resumed. Only this time, it wasn't off-key. It was my tune. The same nervous melody I used to hum as a child when I couldn't sleep. He'd learned it. I turned and ran from the room, barefoot, keys forgotten, leaving the door ajar. I didn't stop until I was a mile down the road, shivering, bleeding from the soles of my feet. I spent the rest of the night in an all-night diner, drinking black coffee and pretending the neon lights would somehow keep me safe. But safety is an illusion now. I understand that. I returned home the next day, not because I wanted to, but because running only delays him. He doesn't care about locks or distance. I've left town 6 times in the past month. He follows. I've slept in churches, in hospitals, once even in the backseat of a police cruiser while a friend on the force kept watch. It didn't matter. I woke up with a corn husk in my mouth. I'm tired. So tired. My body feels like it's aging in reverse, becoming brittle, hollow, like dry stalks left too long in the sun. My skin itches in places I can't reach. My reflection doesn't always match my movements. Sometimes I swear it lingers just a fraction of a second too long after I've turned away. But worse than all of that is the sound. The whistling. It's constant now. Day and night. Not always loud, sometimes it's just barely audible beneath a song, or within the rustling of leaves, or riding the hum of the fridge. But it's there. Like tinnitus, if tinnitus had malevolence behind it. Like it's mocking me. 3 children in my building went missing last week. I don't think he took them, not yet. I think he's getting closer, hungrier, but he still wants me. Still wants to finish what began the night I looked out that window. And I think I know why. In my father's attic, while packing things after that first night, I found something strange. A journal. Bound in cracked leather, brittle with age, and filled with pages written in my father's neat, careful script. It wasn't a diary. It was a record, of everything. Dates. Names. Times. Even descriptions of the figure. But the last few entries were different. Scrawled. Desperate. He came for me in '85. I bargained. I offered him her instead. She never heard the whistle because I took it for her. But now she's grown. He remembers. The deal is breaking. He meant my mother. She died when I was young. I always thought it was a car accident. But now, I'm not sure. And me? I think I was supposed to be next. But my father stopped it. Or postponed it. With a trade. And now that he's gone, I'm back on the list. I'm writing all this as a warning, but also as a confession. Because I can feel myself slipping. The corners of my mind are fraying. I dream in rows now. Rows of corn that stretch forever. I wake up with soil in my fingernails. And last night, I caught myself whistling in my sleep. When I stopped, there was an echo. Not from me. From under the bed. I know I won't last much longer. He's in the walls now. In the pipes. In the hum of my laptop fan. My own shadow is starting to curl at the edges, like it doesn't quite belong to me anymore. So here are the final rules. The ones you'll need when your time comes, because he always comes eventually. Final rules. If you ever dream of endless cornrows, wake up immediately. If you can't, it's already feeding. If you see a figure in the mirror that doesn't move when you do, smash the mirror. Don't look again. Don't stay near open fields in October. That's his season. That's when the stalks whisper your name. Never follow the sound. No matter what it promises. Not even if it sounds like someone you love. And if, God help you, the whistling ever comes from inside your chest, run until your lungs burst. Because he's already started growing there. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. But if you're reading this, if the air feels wrong, or your radio keeps picking up static at 1:17 a.m., or you hear a lullaby you haven't heard since you were a child. It's already looking for you. Don't look back. Don't look into the field. And whatever you do, don't whistle.